Before Owen, Lars, and Beru Whitesun owned their homestead on Tatooine, the moisture farm was operated by Lef and Greta Lars, Owen's grandparents. Lef and Greta had two sons, named Eddern and Klieg. Eddern suffered an untimely death, and was soon followed by his parents Lef and Greta, leaving Klieg as the last surviving member of the Lars family. Klieg had always wanted to explore and live more adventurously when he was younger, so with his entire family having passed away, he decided to leave the moisture farm and explore the galaxy. It was during his travels that he met and married his first wife, a woman named Aika. Together, Klieg and Aika would have a son named Owen somewhere in the core worlds. Eventually, though, Aika would pass away, prompting Klieg and Owen to move back to the moisture farm on Tatooine. Owen spent most of his life as a farmhand for his father. He would one day meet his future wife, Beru Whitesun, in the nearby settlement called Anchorhead. The Whitesun family was a three-generational family of moisture farmers. However, Beru, and very likely the rest of her family, secretly developed ways to deprogram the transmitter chips embedded in the necks of the enslaved people on Tatooine. In fact, one day, after Padme Amidala had become a senator, she sent her handmaiden Sabe to Tatooine to find a way to free the slaves there. She was unfortunately unsuccessful, but she had found evidence of a network that worked to free the slaves already, and who used the symbol of a white sun. Owen and Beru would eventually marry and live with Klieg on the moisture farm. Eventually, Klieg would travel into Mos Espa in search of a new farmhand, but would instead encounter Shmi Skywalker, who he fell in love with. In order to marry her, he had to purchase her freedom from the junk dealer Watto. Klieg and Shmi would eventually marry as well, and the Lars/Whitesun/Skywalker family would live in harmony for a time as farmers. That is, until Tusken Raiders would kidnap Shmi Skywalker, which eventually led to her death. After a visit from Anakin Skywalker, who returned Shmi's body to the Lars homestead for the family to properly bury, Klieg resolved to continue living the life he worked so hard to build as a moisture farmer. Sadly, he would pass away soon after from a broken heart. Klieg's son Owen would inherit the farm along with his wife Beru. Together, they would tend to the farm until one day Obi-Wan Kenobi would deliver a little baby Luke Skywalker to them and ask the couple to raise him, since he was, by Klieg's marriage to Shmi, their nephew. Owen was reluctant at first, but it was actually Beru who convinced him to adopt Luke. For 20 years, the three of them would live as farmers on Tatooine, with Obi-Wan Kenobi looking over them from a distance. Owen was very skeptical of Obi-Wan, and did not have a great relationship with him for a long time. He did not want the former Jedi around, and felt that in order to keep Luke safe, who Owen now saw as his own son, Obi-Wan would have to keep his distance. The Lars family would fall victim to numerous attacks from Jabba's thugs over the years, and multiple times Obi-Wan would save them. At one point, Jabba sent the Wookiee bounty hunter Krrsantan to deal with whoever had been fending off his hired guns, and to do so, Krrsantan kidnapped Owen to lure Obi-Wan out. While Obi-Wan fought off Krrsantan, Luke would arrive in the nick of time in their Skyhopper to save Owen. Obi-Wan defeated Krrsantan, who then escaped off-world to avoid Jabba's wrath. Owen and Obi-Wan would have a surprisingly tense relationship following these events. There was a respect from Owen for Obi-Wan for helping to save his life, but he was still wary of the Jedi's involvement in Luke's life. Owen and Obi-Wan would on occasion encounter each other in town and discuss Luke's future, generally ending in Owen's dismissal of any call to action for Luke to train in the Force. The Imperial Inquisitors would eventually come to Tatooine in search of a Jedi, but when threatened by one of the Inquisitors, Owen did not give Obi-Wan up. However, days later, that same Inquisitor that threatened Owen would return in search of Luke, having discovered the secret of his lineage. This Inquisitor, the third sister, would attempt to kill Luke in an effort to strike against Vader, but would be stalled by Owen and Beru, who were more than ready to defend Luke with their lives. Obi-Wan once more managed to come to their rescue, turning the third sister away from her quest to kill Luke. Owen would then grant Obi-Wan permission to formally meet Luke. leading to an exchange that began with a hearty hello there. Eventually though, in the year 0BBY, the Empire would come to the Lars homestead and kill Owen and Beru while Luke was away, thus ending the Lars bloodline. Luke would leave the homestead with Obi-Wan to begin his journey to become a Jedi. That will cover it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm sorry that it ended on such a sad note.